Petroleum is the lifeblood of our economy. Let me say that again. Petroleum is the lifeblood of our economy. Today, this hearing is an attempt by the Biden administration and the Democrats to help the Chinese bleed us out of energy independence. With a background in the petroleum distribution business, I can tell you firsthand that the misleading title of today's hearing does not reflect the reality of the domestic oil markets. As the National Director of Fuels for Circle K, I knew what the price of petroleum products from wholesale to retail were based on a variety of factors across the value chain, as our witnesses have discussed today. Wrongly accusing oil companies of price gouging is only meant to cover up this administration's own anti-fossil fuel agenda, as my peers on this side of the aisle have pointed out numerous times today. At every turn, the Biden administration and my friends across the aisle want to make it harder to produce, distribute, and use fossil fuel for their Chinese electrification agenda. For the Hoosiers watching at home, that means higher gas prices, higher utility bills, and less energy security. The situation in Ukraine tragically has compounded the president's energy crisis, but make no mistake, this problem started long before March of 2022. House Democrats have been pushing a complex equation for a green economy that's totally unattainable. Can't get it done when they want to get it done. That's why they Build Back Better backed off. This administration has been creating regulatory uncertainty and investor pressures on financing fossil fuel projects that have squeezed oil companies, fueling the volatile energy markets we see today. The president needs to reverse course and put our country back on a path towards long-term, durable energy independence. By accusing the oil companies of price gouging now, it'll only be a matter of time, listen up, America, until the argument is pushed to the healthcare industry, the manufacturing sector, farmers, and the rest of the economy. They want everybody to be accused of price gouging to cover up their inflation. Price gouging can't be a catch-all response to inflation and an overwhelmingly regulatory environment that just keeps piling up every single day. The only answer coming from this administration has been a misguided use of our strategic petroleum reserve to lower gas prices, and of course this hearing. But looking at the past two emergency strategic petroleum reserve releases, we fail to see meaningful effects at the pump for my Hoosiers in my district. General Masters, what is the purpose of this SPRO?
Sorry, I have to unmute. The purpose of what, Congressman? I'm sorry?
What is the purpose of the Strategic Petroleum Reserve?
Well, it is obviously a reserve that is meant mainly for wartime and to ensure that that if there is an interruption in supply, that we can compensate for that and that we won't entail national security risk associated with the supply constraint associated with petroleum.
Thank you, General. You and I both know that the President's release wasn't announced in response to a supply disruption or a war. Yet we're going to go down to 40% of what's in there. The average price was below $30, and now I guess they're going to replace it around $100. If we're serious about lowering prices at the pump, would we be relying on the SPRO to stabilize energy markets and lower prices? Does that help releasing that 1 million barrels a day?
I defer to the other witnesses on this, but I would just say that it has a lot to do with obviously supply and the ability to increase supply.
Mr. Worth, can you comment on my question? Is this going to affect lowering prices and stabilizing markets?
Congressman, in the short term, it can send a signal that suggests there is more supply available. It's not a long-term solution to the challenge.
Thank you, sir. It doesn't seem to be doing that. 3 weeks ago, the price was about the same as it is today. So thank you, Madam Chair. I yield back.